Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Elke Scholz, a registered psychotherapist, internally certified EMDR therapist, expressive arts educator, author, and speaker with over 35 years of experience helping people overcome anxiety and build emotionally healthier lives. Through her book, including Loving Your Life and the Anxiety Warrior series, as well as her therapy practice and wellness program, Elka combines professional expertise with her own personal journey of managing anxiety to helping others find practical, accessible tools for resilience and emotional well-being. Elka, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure I can bring value. So I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. All right. So, Elka, I want you to take us back to your 20s, right? What was life like in your 20s, and what were the, let's say, goals and ambitions that were driving you then?
In my 20s, in the early 20s, still feeling pretty lost and not really sure where I was going, though what I did discover was my love for calligraphy and the arts. And then it felt like I was coming alive. And then the anxiety part of me, I still stuttered. I had pretty much, I would stutter regularly and switch my words. That's improved a lot. So if I do that, most people do know that what I'm talking about, so that's okay. And I'm not as nervous about it anymore. And the other thing in my 20s, I felt like I was hiding a big secret, like that had this nice persona and pleasant and happy, which, I felt was a choice. And yet there were times where my anxiety was so bad that I would want to lay in the grass. And I didn't realize that was so healthy to do that, to ground yourself. But I didn't tell people about it, not until later.
Okay. Wow. So, yes, thank you for sharing your story with us. It's funny how most of these things is actually what most young adults are currently going through, or should I say battling, right? Anxiety. And some people feel like, when it comes to mental health, right? The moment you talk about it, people tend to think, oh, there's something wrong with you, there's something going on. So a whole lot of people tend not to talk about what is going on with them, right? So I'd like to ask, how were you able to, navigate it, and how did you come out of the whole thing with anxiety, right?
What's good now is that we can talk about it.
Right.
And anxiety and stress, some people have asked too, what's the difference? And I just want to say that we don't need to know what the difference is. We just feel
Mm,
badly, and if anxiety is stopping us. And we didn't talk about mental health, not
mm,
at that time. And I didn't discover that I had anxiety until I was reading a book about it. I
mm,
was I was reading it for somebody else because I wanted to help them. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is about me. And that really started my journey because I felt most days I didn't feel good, even though I
mm,
was really healthy. And the way my brain works, though, is there's this mystery. And for me, the mystery was sometimes anxiety would just pop away in 2 seconds or 2 minutes. And other times it would last most of the day, and I would feel sick, like sick to my
mm.
stomach, or I was immobilized, and I just had trouble doing things. So that was a mystery to me. And the way my brain works is like, I got to start exploring this, figuring out where is this anxiety coming from, what's causing it, what helps it go away, how do you manage it? And that became a passion with myself, my clients, my family, and I started gathering information. And I came up with 11 different places where anxiety can come from. And there were different types of anxiety as well. And it sounds maybe like a lot. However, I have a nice little checklist in the book, and some of them, if you like, we can talk about here,
Mm,
because they're easy strategies that you can do right away.
mm. Wow. I would love to actually know about those strategies, right? That would be very important.
So, okay, what I can do is I've actually I'm going to
I
read
need
them
my
out. Well, Joy, even though I've written these books, even though I have my little cheat sheets around me, because I'm not at a zero. Like I give people a number scale. So zero is no disturbance. 10, I would call it short circuiting, where I just couldn't put a thought together or a sentence. So right now I'm not a zero, I'm not relaxing. However, I'm also not having anxiety in the sense of, I'm excited. So I'm maybe a one or a one and a half. And it's not, the number system isn't a test. So I'm just going to read these as a list, and then we can talk about a few of them, because whatever time we have, right?
Right.
So and there's 7 different types of anxiety, which I wrote about, but the different layers where it comes from is substances. So chemicals, we can talk a little bit about that one, because the reason it's first, it's one of the easiest to change. Physiological, like your body, reality,
Mm,
overstimulation, culture and social beliefs, self-doubt, perfectionism, negative thinking, high sensitivity, and memories and traumas. So that's 11.
mm,
And well, let's talk about a few of these. And they show up in different ways. So substances, like I said, is one of the easiest ones to change. Now, this is
mm,
really interesting. A lot of us sweat through the night, and we're
mm,
asleep. I'm a good sleeper, 6 to 8 hours. That's a long time. And
mm,
if we're dehydrated, so this could be during the day too, but mostly it shows up in the morning. If you wake up with anxiety, like not feeling well, a little bit anxious in your tummy, maybe in your throat a bit, it could be that you're dehydrated. So when we need
mm,
water, our brain sends signals to our body and it looks like anxiety. So the simple fix, and I have water by my bedside. I'll have just a little bit, and I do that every morning anyways. However, if there is any dehydration, that goes away in minutes. And a
mm,
lot of my clients have taken that as a habit, because we wake up and sometimes we have this terrible feeling, have a little bit of water, and that number will lower. So that's
mm,
actually, it's amazing. And even during the day, if you're finding that you're anxious, um, water, and it's not like you need lots, just a little bit so your body can dehydrate or hydrate again. And then, of
mm,
course, we have coffee, like caffeine, chocolate,
mm,
like the
mm,
caffeine, the energy drinks. And if we're
mm,
sensitive, so this is one of the things, Joy, that I talk about is every body is
mm,
different. So that's why this book is like, it just shows, it gives you these ideas, and then you can
mm, mm,
go, well,
mm.
I don't drink coffee, but I drink tea. Well, does your tea have a lot of caffeine in it? Maybe it doesn't,
Right.
right?
Mm,
Sugar can create anxiety, and it
mm,
depends. Everybody's different. So
mm,
if I have too much sugar, I'll feel anxious and I don't feel well. So
Mm,
I try not to do that.
mm,
Another one is alcohol. So alcohol works differently. It might make you relax. However, it's taking water out of your system. So
mm.
what happens is you might have that drink, feel relaxed, but then later get anxious because your body's dehydrated. And then
Mm.
cigarettes, a lot of people smoked. They think it's relaxing, but it's robbing your body of oxygen. So again, those effects are a little bit later. And so you might start as a zero, but when, let's say, you're drinking coffee and not enough water, well, you could be a 4 or 5 very quickly just with the substances. So those are things you can control and experiment. My mom and my brother, they can have a cup of coffee before bed and they go to sleep. If I smell coffee at 3:30, I'm awake all night. So everybody's different, right? You got to figure, you got to play a little bit and figure out what your body is. So that's substances. Do you want me to keep going?
Right. I'm curious, right? Because I
Yeah.
believe you've worked with a lot of people. Which of these, like you said, layers, right? These are layers of anxiety. So which
Yeah.
of these do you think is more common amongst like young adults?
Well, interesting. Yes, substances. I think physiology is
Mm,
as well, because here's the thing, if we're not exercising,
mm,
like exercise actually gives us those endorphins that calm our body. And it also could be, so here's that funny circle, and this is important. And there's about 4 of them that I will talk about,
mm.
and you're right about specifically, though they're all important in some way.
Right.
So the physical is also if you're not sleeping. But here's the thing, let's say you're not sleeping well, 2 or 3 nights of terrible sleep, your mental health
Mm,
is
mm,
trash.
right.
So you've got to figure out, oh, is the coffee keeping me awake? And decaf, here's the crazy part. And the reason I talk about decaf is I thought decaf was okay, and it has caffeine in it. So, again, it's you've got to figure out, and you have to have that sleep. Now, let's say all these things are great in your life, but there's still something going on. Deficiency in iron can make you feel depressed, which also makes you feel anxious, or having a thyroid issue can also. So make sure that you have that checked because you want to rule out the possibilities, right? So the other ones that are really big, and I'll deal with these, and then you can always ask me questions or whatever you want me to do. Reality. So, as a young person, let's say you're worried about a job or a career, or maybe who you're dating, that's real. And, or maybe you're moving somewhere, or maybe you're finishing college, or maybe you're starting college. I don't know where you are, right? All those things can create anxiety. And I call it reality because sometimes reality makes us anxious. And so here's the thing is be kind to yourself and understand what your limits are. And if you have a I was just talking to a client, bless her soul, she had 7 things on the go. And there was nothing wrong with her except that it was too much, right? That was her reality. It was just too much.
Mm,
So think about what you can handle. And one of the things I say is know your limits.
mm,
And everybody's different. So what maybe Joy, what you might be comfortable with, maybe I'm not, right?
mm,
So just be curious, and like I really want people to know that you can do this, it's manageable. And
mm,
we just need some strategies. The other one, which is very strong, and it's overstimulation.
Mm.
And
Overstimulation.
you're growing up, you're in a world like I had a world with the dial-up phone and a party line and no
Mm.
answering service, no answering machine, and no computer, black and white TV. Like I know I sound ancient, but I'm not. So, we're just we're not meant to move so fast. And, you look at a TV screen and there's like seven things happening. The commentators, the weather, then the bands, and they're flashing things at you. We're not meant for that. So it's like, you know, tuning into yourself. This phone, like um, these the stimulation and this expectation of texting and expecting a text back or even email when it started was even I found myself going, how come they're not answering me? um, so this overstimulation, and again, not saying it's bad, not saying it's wrong, it's just how is it affecting you? And how can you take downtime? How can you prepare for bed? You don't want to be on your phone just before you go to sleep. You want to put those electronics in another room and prepare your body to calm down. And that's so those are kind of the top four. That's why they're up there.
All right. So, oof, while you were talking, I was thinking of the one. So, first of all, let me say I came across this video of a lady that got her heart broken, right? And
Oh,
she was crying. Like she said, it's been 2 years and she has been trying to move on. And I feel I was like 2 years is a long time, right? But
yeah.
people in the comments were like so relatable, so relatable. So I want to place that under trauma, right? What do you think one can do to, should I say overcome trauma? That is if it can be overcome actually. Do you think someone can get to a point where they actually pass that traumatic experience and they actually fully heal?
Yeah, that's a big question. It's a good question. So trauma, actually interesting. I have it as the last thing for anxiety because what you're explaining is, her grief, and grief has its own timing. It has its own path. You can actually, I would have recommended that she would go get some help, some support, whether it's in a group or counseling, and help with that trauma. And sometimes we do need help with it, depending where it lives. Like if she's this upset, if somebody is this upset for 2 years, like our brains, believe it or not, our brains are equipped to do high stress in short times, and our brains can also process stress and traumas. However, if the trauma doesn't process and go in the library or back, then we need some help. And yeah, I would definitely do that. In the meantime, you want to be super kind to yourself and gentle. There's nothing wrong with having grief for any length of time because it's how we process it. It's how much we loved, how much we cared, what we've lost, is how can we be tender and how can we be tender with that person or with ourselves. And the healing, you asked if one could overcome it. So, what I teach people is we learn to live with grief. We learn to live with it. That hole that is in our heart because we loved that much, we learn to live with it. And that's the skill. That's what, that's what you want to pursue is how am I going to live with this grief?
I mean, it saddens my heart to know that I have to learn to live with it. No,
What's that, Joy? Sorry.
I mean, it just saddens my heart that one has to learn to live with it, right? Because I don't think those are experiences anyone would want to live with, right? But it happens.
Well,
So,
yeah, so here's the thing is eventually we do feel grief, and some of us have losses as children, some of us as teens, some of us like in our early 20s, and maybe these losses aren't meant to happen, whether it's a brother or a mother or a parent. um, yeah, it is tragic and it is sad, though it is part of life. And it's how do you learn to live with this? And there are strategies. I mean, we grieve because we love, because we care. And I just lost my best friend, and it's how deeply I loved. And would I trade it, that relationship? No. I would do it again. I would have it again because the love and the joy and all the gifts that I got. I mean, I didn't, sign up for the grief. None of us do. However, it's life. It's life. And yeah, that it's something to really contemplate on. And that could be another conversation. Yeah.
yeah, honestly. Ooh, so I'm
Yep.
glad we got to touch on that actually, because I feel like that is one thing my generation don't know how to navigate, right? They just pass through one traumatic experience and everything just comes falling down. They don't know how to move past it. And wow, although like they say there's no manual to life, there's no actual way to grieve. But it's important to make conscious efforts to get better. Right. That is what is important actually. So yes, I want us to touch on. I want you to talk to someone out there, right? Because that's like the sole purpose of my podcast, giving advice to the young ones. So what's an advice you want, we the younglings to learn, a life advice that you feel like will be of benefit to us later in life?
How much time do we have?
All right.
Yeah, if I were to say a few things, it would be practice. That life is practice. And it goes up and down. It's not ever this even calm place. It's sometimes it is, and my mentor says, enjoy it when it's calm. And the rest of the time, just trust you'll figure out what you need. And the other thing that came to mind when you asked me that is perhaps seek wisdom from an elder, because our elders, they've been there, they've got great wisdom, and they have beautiful things to say and to teach us. Yeah, that's what I would do, definitely. And one more thing, so only I don't want to do too many, but the other is to slow down. Our world is so fast and very chaotic and uncertain, so, unstable. And nature, slowing down in nature, that will help a lot. It will help ground you. So practice, seek out an elder, and slow down in nature.
Wow. So yes, thank you, Elke. This has been amazing. Honestly, I wrote a whole lot of things down, by the way.
Nice.
I love topics like this, honestly. I just wish we had more time. I mean, if you don't mind, maybe some other time we can get to, touch on the remaining layers of anxiety because I would like to learn more about it, if you don't mind, actually.
Yeah, we can do, and you know what, Joy, I have done that where we've done one podcaster, we did 3 sessions
Right.
and we recorded them, and then because of that, and the other cool thing that I have available is I have 2 beautiful PDFs that are free that
Mm,
people can go on my website, and they're calming techniques that will calm you, and they work. I designed the pages for my clients because they work. So I love to
mm.
do handouts, and I love to give gifts like that. So if I don't know, can I say the website? Is
Yes,
that okay?
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, so if you go on lovingyourlife.com,
Mm,
and it's free. It's a opt-in page, and you get these 2 beautiful PDFs with these calming techniques. And yeah, I when I have anxiety, I pull out the techniques, and they work. They really do work. They're so yeah. Um,
mm. Wow. Okay, like you said, loving your life, right? And yes, you mentioned that important things to know is, first one is practice, right? Then also listen to elders, and finally learn to slow down, which is really important. So I'd like to say thank you, Elke, for this amazing opportunity. And yes, I know you said your website already, but I'm going to ask again. Finally, before you go, where can listeners get to learn more about you and also connect with you?
so lovingyourlifebook.com. So lovingyourlifebook.com, and they'll find whatever they want on that website. There's lots.
All right, okay. So, like you said, lovingyourlifebook.com, right? And as usual, I'm going to put the link in the show notes so it's easily accessible for listeners. And to my listeners, I want to say thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone you think might need this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Once again, thank you, Elke. Do have a wonderful day ahead of you. Take
Thank
care.
you. Okay, thank
Bye.
you.